Today I'm going to matchmake the UFC 330 card that's going to be taking place in Philadelphia in August this year. They haven't announced any fights for that card and it's only 3 months away. So I thought I would matchmake the entire card from the main event to the early prelims. Jumping in straight away with the main event, I think a lot of us know that this is going to be happening, but it's Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. This is the fight to make. After watching Carlos Prates dismantle Jack Della Maddalena over the weekend, I know that this is the fight that the UFC are going to want to put on. They have to capitalize on the hype that Ian Garry would have and the hype that he gets from Carlos Prates destroying JDM. And I think that this is a very good fight. And for the Philadelphia card, like obviously you could put it further back and wait for the Abu Dhabi card in October. But at that point, Makhachev has fought once in 11 months. We need him back in the octagon. He should have already fought by now. He took no damage and JDM was back last weekend. And he was the one that lost 50-45. But Makhachev, no. This guy, he just loves to be super inactive. So we got to get him into the octagon as soon as possible. And the next best time is going to be August. Because obviously International Fight Week looks like Conor McGregor is going to be on that card. So it has to be the one after that. And UFC 330 it is. It's going to be a great card if they put together the fights that I've put together. But I think that this, as a fight, you have to go with Islam Makhachev, but you still got to see it. Ian Garry poses a different threat than a lot of the guys that Islam does. He has very good takedown defense, Ian Garry does. As much as I hate Ian Garry, and I'm not going to be happy with anyone winning this fight, maybe a draw would be a good one or a no contest, just because I really don't like these guys. But for Ian Garry, it's like he's got a very good shot. He's very difficult to get into the hips on. He's got really good footwork. The kicks are really nice. And everything that Islam was able to do to Jack, like using the leg kicks to be able to get to the body, use the leg kicks to be able to slow him down and then shoot open takedowns in the open. That is not going to work on Ian Garry. Ian Garry's kick defense is really, really good due to the erratic footwork he has. And just in the grappling, like he's got much better footwork than Jack. He's not going to be coming, like encroaching in slowly with a boxing stance. He's going to be coming forward with his like springy steps. He's going to be doing a lot of feints before he enters into range. And it's going to be quite difficult for Makhachev. But I still think that Islam is able to win either a submission or a decision win. But I think that this is actually the hardest fight in the division. No doubt about it. I always say this, apart from Bilal and Shavkat, because both of them can wrestle really well, and they're not as old as Kamaru Usman, but both of them would do really well. But Ian Garry, he might be the guy to shut him off on the feet, even though we don't see him finish too many people. Now, for the main event, I kind of have to apologize to the whole state of Pennsylvania for putting this one on, but we got to put it somewhere. Mackenzie Dern versus Zhang Weili. Look, this is a pretty decent fight, but I just don't care. I know that Zhang Weili destroys Mackenzie Dern. Watching Mackenzie Dern and Verna Jandiroba fight, it made me realize this women's strawweight division has never been weaker, and Zhang Weili is going to be able to put some mustard on Mackenzie Dern, and she's easily going to win that. My thing is you have to make this fight soon. Like, I know with WMMA, they're a lot less active. The people who have the belt, it's common for them to just fight once a year, which I don't mind. I just complain about Makhachev for doing that, but I don't mind if it's WMMA. But for these two, it's like, I need to see something better from Mackenzie Dern for me to think that she's going to, like, actually beat Zhang Weili. And Zhang Weili, she got dominated by Valentina Shevchenko, but she gets the shot at the strawweight belt, no doubt about it. And she's going to win it. Now, for the feature fight, a little bit more interesting of a fight, I've got Caio Borralho versus Joe Pyfer. Now, you got to have Joe Pyfer on a Philadelphia card. You absolutely have to. And at this point, he's deserving of like some higher ranked guys, like the Caio Borralhos of the division and guys like that. And I think if you push him too far up, like you give him a Nasruddin Imavov or a Dricus du Plessis, I think Joe Pyfer probably gets finished, and I don't think he has a good performance against those guys. But Caio Borralho, he's just that sort of in-between where I'm not worried about Joe Pyfer getting finished by him. It is only a decision win that Caio can get, in my opinion. And I think that Joe Pyfer, he's not going to take too much damage. If he does lose, it's probably going to be a smudge decision or just out jabbing and out leg kicking him. But he also has the chance to shut down some Fighting Nerds hype. I know that Kyle Bahalio doesn't have the most hype out of all this fighting nerds type guys, but Joe Pyfer, he can go out there a little bit freer than he would have been against some of these more difficult guys, and he can have a good performance against Kyle Bahalio. I really do believe that. God, I've got terrible allergies right now. But I think that this is the best fight that you can make next, just because you don't want to rocket up. You don't want to rocket up Joe Pyfer up into the top 2, top 3 of the division. And Kyle Bahalio, yeah, you beat Reina Dorita, but you just lost at Mavov, so you got to work your way back up. Now, this next one, you might not think it makes sense because a certain someone might be fighting quite soon, but Sean Brady versus Mike Mallet. Now, you might be asking, well, if Sean Brady's on this card, doesn't it... Sorry, my lighting is really bad right now. But, oh, wow, I made it worse. But you might be saying that You might be saying that Sean Brady, he is going to win his fight over the weekend. And if he does, why is he looking down the rankings? And you'd be right to say that, but you'd be wrong to say he's going to win this weekend. Buckley's going to destroy him 100%. I really do believe that Buckley's going to be able to get it done. And for Sean Brady, I think that he needs to take a fight in Philly for one, because he's not going to get any other opportunity across his entire career to fight in Philly. But I think he's actually going to lose to Buckley. I think Buckley's going to knock him out. So he's not going to be looking up the division. And that's why I've made the Mike Mallet fight. Because, now, for Sean Brady, if he gets knocked out, it's a really bad idea to fight in August. But I just think if you want to capitalize on the fans, the crowd, your family being there, you got to take the fight, even if he does get knocked out, even when he gets knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. And if I'm Sean Brady and I've just been knocked out by Buckley, the one guy who I would think is not going to knock me out is Mike Mallet. So you got to make this fight for Sean Brady if he does. And it's a good step up for Mallet. I could see the UFC wanting to do it. They want to have a Canadian guy like get into the top 10. And this would be his route in, because although he's good, he's a very good grappler, don't get me wrong, but he's been ground and pound TKO'd by Neil Magny, and he's also not the most powerful guy. So Sean Brady, if you lose this, fight Mike Mallet, 100%, no doubt about it. Now, the opening fight on the main card, I think it's going to be... I'm really liking the matchups like the Bobby Green versus Jeremy Stevens. I'm liking having these unks sort of like battle it out on the opening fight of the main card, especially when they're an unk that you've really heard of. You've seen a couple of their fights. And one of the unks that we're going to talk about, Drew Dober versus Jalen Turner. Now, I made this fight after Drew Dober knocked out Michael Johnson. I knew that this was the fight that had to happen. And this is the card that you got to put it on. Jalen Turner, he won it in December at UFC 324 last year. And Drew Dober, I think it was UFC 326. So both guys should be looking to get back into the octagon quite soon. And they're both the perfect opponent for each other. And you just know that motivated Dober, he's going to put on a good performance. And we're going to enjoy watching it. Jalen Turner, though, he's got a really good shot over Drew Dober. He can keep him at range. He's got good grappling defense. He can use those knees and the kicks to really stifle Dober. So it would be a fun matchup, and we can keep the memes going. Now, the fight that would be on like the fight before the pay-per-view starts, it's always got to be a bit of a banger. I like having prospects on there just because you can like sort of see what the future is going to look like with the UFC. So the perfect one is just Jacoby Smith. Now, you would want to put Jacoby Smith against a bigger name, but in the unranked section of the welterweight division, there's not really too much, so I wanted to just put on a fun fight. And you may be thinking Punahele Soriano and fun fights has not been going well together since Puna smoked Uros Medic early, because Puna has just been like smudging people up against the cage and like just smudge grappling very regularly. So I think for Puna, he really needs a fight where it's actually going to be like a scrap against someone who can defend the takedowns. And I think that the Jacoby Smith is the best guy for that, because Jacoby's going to be able to defend all of the wrestling from Puna, but Puna is probably a better striker, but they're both explosive and very fast, and I think it would be a fun fight to watch. And if Jacoby Smith beats him, this is a legit prospect. Puna is a good fighter. He's been fighting at Extreme Couture for the last couple of years, making good improvements, and he's got a very well-rounded game. So if he's able to get a win over Punahele Soriano, then Jacoby Smith's going to look like a really good prospect for the future. Now, another fight for the prelims I wanted to chat about It's Ante Delija versus Volta Walker. Now, you may be thinking why this isn't on the main card, just because I've been seeing recently, I've been enjoying having some ranked fights on the prelims, but the sort of ranked fights that like casuals won't look at and go, oh my god, I'm excited for that. Like, no one looks at Ante Delija, who's a casual, no one looks at Ante Delija versus Volta Walker and goes, this is a crazy fight. But if you know ball, you know it's going to be fun, because either Ante Delija defends all of the takedowns of Volta Walker and just slimes him out on the feet, because we saw Volta Walker's striking isn't the best, or Volta Walker instantly gets him down, gets another heel hook submission, which I don't think would happen. It would be a fun scrap, and I want to see it. And for Ante, he just lost to Sergey Spivak. You're going to want to get a win soon, and against another ranked opponent, and it's a good matchup for him. For Volta, it's not a great matchup, but I think if he wins this, he'll have a new, like, faith in himself to be able to become the top, like, 5 ranked heavyweight. Now, the next fight that I wanted to talk about, it's Randy Brown versus Maitabek Orolbai. Now, I know Randy Brown just fought against Kevin Holland and lost in a decision. It was a terrible fight. He has to make that up. And for Maitabek Orolbai, he just beat Chris Curtis, but again, a terrible looking fight. Not that it was like a terrible performance, but it was just terrible to watch. And I think if he can do that to Randy Brown, a guy who's got pretty decent grappling, I'll be very impressed. And I want to see him try to do that, because Randy Brown's dangerous for some of these guys that are good at getting takedowns, because for one, he's got good like elbows off his back and he can make his way to his feet really well. But he's also so tall, and it's always sketchy to shoot on someone that tall with good takedown defense. Because with Maitabek Orolbai's height and the way that he shoots, I could so see him running into a knee from Randy Brown. And I think that if Maitabek Orolbai can destroy Randy Brown, then one more fight and you get him in the rankings, or you get him into the rankings already after that. Now, the next one, it's going to be another ranked matchup, Patricio Pitbull versus Pat Sabatini. Now, this is if Pat Sabatini is able to beat William Gomez, and I really think he will. And he is another hometown guy. He lives in, he's born in Pennsylvania. I think he still lives there. He trains out of Philly, I'm pretty sure, with the Sean Brady, Joe Pyfer team. And you got to put him up against someone who's going to give him a bit of challenge. Like, you don't want to put him against like a David Onama if Onama defends no takedowns and then we just get a smudge decision. But you also don't want to put, like, you could put this fight on the main card because Sabatini, he's from Philly, and Patricio Pitbull's ranked and he's a well-known guy. But if Pat Sabatini wins, it's a terrorist. He is a terrorist of the sport. He's horrible to watch. So you got to put him up against a guy like Patricio Pitbull, because we know he can defend takedowns. We know he's a... Oh, God. My allergies are horrid. But we know he's a good fighter. We know he's got good grappling as well. So you got to put him up against someone like that, just so you can test the grappling of Sabatini and see if he's actually that good. And for Patricio Pitbull, it's to see, hey, old dog, you still got it. Because to be honest, after that last performance over Aaron Pico, I was not impressed at all. Now, moving on to the next one, though, it's Adrian Yanez versus Elijah Smith. Now, Adrian Yanez, he's coming off a win. They called it a draw, but it was a win over Ricky Simone. And Elijah Smith, he's been having some good performances recently. He had the performance where he slammed that Asian guy. I wish I could remember his name. I want to say Toshiyomi Kazama. I could be so unbelievably wrong with that and look terribly racist, but I'm actually pretty sure it is Toshiyomi Kazama. I could be so wrong. That could be a Pride FC guy for all I know. But Adrian Yanez versus Elijah Smith, it's a good, reasonable matchup because Elijah Smith looks like a really good prospect. And we saw from Adrian Yanez, he still has very slick boxing. And I just think that this is a good fight to put on. I think that everyone would enjoy watching this one. Elijah Smith, the young prospect, electric on the feet, very good grappling against Adrian Yanez, a slick boxer, bit of a crafty vet himself. I would love to see this fight. Now, the next one I wanted to discuss, it was Jeremiah Wells versus Chidi Njokuani. Now, every pay-per-view has to start off somewhere. And Jeremiah Wells, another guy from Pennsylvania, from Philly, and he is going to fight Chidi Njokuani. Njokuani coming off a close fight with the guy that Muslim Salikov just slept out cold, Carlos Leal. And it was a very, very fun fight. It should have been fight of the night any day of the week. It was one of the most enjoyable fights of this year, where Chidi Njokuani was slamming Carlos Leal with kicks, and Carlos was just returning with 100% steam on every punch, and it was like 150 punches each or so, and it was a beautiful performance from both of them. And Jeremiah Wells coming off a win against Demba Gorimbo, who's been looking a little bit more weathered and worse for wear every fight. And it was a fight where Themba Gorimbo got out-hustled by the muscular Jeremiah Wells. And this fight, I sort of just want to put it together because I think that Chitty, we need to see the improvement of his takedown defense, and Jeremiah Wells can wrestle. And Jeremiah Wells, we need to see his striking improve, and that's Chitty's whole world. And although this fight could be terrible, it could also be an early finish. Now, moving on, another Philly guy, Andre Petroski. Got to put him on the card. He's fighting Cody Brundage soon, or Cody Brundage. And he's going to be fighting Treshawn Gore. Treshawn Gore had a great performance over Azamat Bekayev, and I think he can slime out Andre Petroski. To be honest, that's the only reason why I put it on there. I put it on a fight that Andre Petroski should be getting like a level of opponent similar to Andre, but I wanted to slime him out just because he's so boring to watch. I feel bad for saying that. But then the last fight on the card, it's Angela Hill versus Mizuki. You've got to put a WMMA fight to open up the card, just keep the trends going. And this is a ranked matchup. It would be pretty fun, Angela Hill versus Mizuki. Angela Hill probably schools Mizuki, but you never know. Now, let me know what fights you would like to see on that UFC 330 card. As always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.